Those colors again, please? Could you go
Yeah,
over the colors again? Thank you.
definitely. All right. Welcome to class 2, part 2 of toneless painting. And going to be talking a little bit about using the different design ideas, the armatures, within a reference that's maybe not as exciting or as well laid out as I would have wanted, but because it's a commission, I'm using the reference that was given to me, but I'm going to be doctoring it up to make it hopefully that much more exciting and that much more interesting. It is oak trees on rolling hills in California, and I'm going to be just basically doing an underpainting, really establishing my values, because you can see there's not a lot there. It's got, some guidelines, some rough kind of idea kind of sketched out, but now I really want to kind of figure out what my light source is, where my shadows are, how things are moving. I'll probably, like we said earlier, maybe make the tree taller, a little more interesting, maybe break that horizon line, so bringing it up even above the edge of those hills, which would make it quite a lot bigger. But because the whole purpose of this commission is this kind of grand oak tree that this family's children used to play in, I think they won't mind if I kind of blow that up a little bit and really make it obvious that it is the focal point. The big issue is that there's so much sky area, and in the reference there's nothing. It's just a clear sky. So the obvious answer is to use some clouds. So you guys are going to help me design that, and we can really kind of think of what shapes, and do we want like big, thick clouds, or do we want more soft edged clouds, and what would work best to add movement, add interest, and help the painting feel more cohesive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this transparent brown here, oxide, and some of this Indian yellow, mix those together really quickly. Just going to go ahead and grab a touch of the red.
What red is that on the left?
It is called transparent red medium, and I lost the lid to it, so I'm just trying to use it up as quickly as possible. So I don't have a lid that fits it, so I just keep using it even if I wouldn't normally.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sometimes I use saran wrap and a rubber band when I'm desperate.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's what I definitely could do, something like that. So I'm just taking a touch of paint thinner, just dip the corner of my brush. Maybe I'll kind of rub that around a little bit. I don't like the paint to be too slippery, so I don't add a whole lot, but I also want the paint to move.
okay. So you're using oil paint now over the acrylic, right?
Very good. Yes, thank you. Okay, we'll wipe that off. I'm going to take a paper towel, just lightly push it around. And again, I'm thinking of all of this very much as the underpainting.
And you're using a smooth surface as well. This is not a textured canvas.
Yeah, this is a wood panel. Wood panel that I probably added 1 coat of a primer to it, and then 3 coats of gesso. And I did give it a soft sanding, but there's still some texture, but not too much. And I'm gonna have to grab some pliers here, because it's wanting to move around a lot. So I just put those up in the corner. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of figure out my biggest value shifts. which of course my lightest area is gonna be pretty much my sky. And I could start to think already about the clouds if I wanted to.
You could put those wispy clouds in there in soft golden orangey yellows, because I see that in the afternoon a lot also. If you want to make it an afternoon painting.
Right, so let's think about that. Let's go ahead and jump right to the sky. So
Do we
It's
know
kind of
what
a whole-
time of day their picture was taken?
I believe it's early morning
All right.
or even early part of the day. I don't know if it's morning for sure. So we looked at, in the first half of the class, we looked at two different paint sky examples. One that I really like, because I kind of like the bulbousness, like the solidity of these clouds.
Yeah.
Versus the really wispy clouds that we looked at from Linda. The other thing is Linda's clouds, for the most part, were kind of doing this
Mm-hmm.
and kind of leading us to this edge. And of course, we can kind of change those up. But I kind of like in these clouds how there is this zigzag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice.
And so that kind of can keep us kind of in the middle of it a little bit here.
I also
that-
like the idea that there's an opportunity for you to repeat the shape of that oak tree.
Yes.
Yes,
Nice.
that's good.
Meaning like a little bit of a bulbousness.
Mhm.
Yes.
Hey, Michael,
Yes, Don.
um, I think you started to say something about an X shape for an armature in this painting. Is that something you're gonna emphasize?
Yeah, so we've got the top of this hill that comes here. And then at the bottom of this tree, there's a bit of a
The gully.
gully. So I can kind of take like that.
Right?
And then over here, we've got a road, and that kind of leads up into the top of a hill here. So we've got this kind of X formation there.
So here's my question. You're gonna add clouds that are not there, which is fine to improve the composition, but is there something in the clouds that could be part of the armature or support the
Right.
X?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also what we can have is a little bit of a implied zigzag where we go from here up this tree. We're gonna take the tree taller. Right, breaking the
Okay.
plane of the hills a little bit.
Yeah,
So, and then I can use this line, and now I probably want to start thinking about, how can I continue this zigzag formation a little bit, right?
right. Okay. That's kind of where I was hoping you were gonna go.
Right, so then I can do something like. So can you guys kind of see that line?
Yeah, yeah. And it'll look good with those puffy little clouds.
Right, so we have an X down here, got a zigzag here.
Are you gonna kind of round out the top of the tree a little more? Yeah, yeah.
And the nice thing is I know where those hills are back here, so I can have little, sky holes possibly at the top of the tree, where we can see parts of that hill.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But that's what's really nice about like doing it, kind of like this, is I can really start to, experiment with the lights, the darks, reshaping things a little bit, making this tree bigger, for instance. Also wanted to exaggerate this shadow coming off the tree, which conversely would have another shadow coming off the tree behind it. So I can really quickly, before I get too much into the sky, let's look at the light patterns that are coming across here. So we've got light kind of raking across these hills, catching the left side of these hills. Going underneath this oak tree, catching the top of this hill here.
So your sun is gonna be above the horizon.
Yeah, it'll be kind of up to the
Yeah,
left.
okay. Cause you first said about sunrise.
Yeah, towards sunrise, early morning.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like the ability to kind of come through and really hopefully give myself a better idea of what my lights and my shadows are doing. Over here, we're gonna have another oak tree shape.
Are you referring to your photo at all while you're doing this, or you just?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, so here's kind of the little printout I made for myself.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm just really thinking of, okay, how's the light moving? I don't know if it'll show up in these trees too much, but I can even begin to show where the light's hitting on these oak trees. It won't be that bright.
Did she give you an idea of what type of oak tree that was?
Californian, I don't know. Yeah, they're busy building their new house, so they've been a little bit hit or miss with communication. But you can kind of see how now I'm beginning to get the shapes and movement of the light a little bit.
I think it already looks so much more dynamic than the photograph.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
For me, I really appreciate the kind of subtle way that the clouds lead me to the tree.
Mhm.
Like not having them be a big focus, but they really do just help my eye go right there.
Right. And then I just got to make them have a interesting, form and sense of reality to them.
Right. And then the other lines, keep me moving, but it still is the focal point, but it's not like it's hitting me over the head focal point, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, that's again, you want to have your armatures, possibly if they're useful for you in your painting. But you don't want them to be so obvious that they're like, oh, look at that zigzag, look at that.
Well, I think this is the piece I struggle with the most. So this is really, really helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, I was a little bit hesitant to do this painting today because I wasn't sure I had it thought out, but I was like, oh, actually, it'd be fun to have us all kind of working together on, a painting that doesn't give you, a photo that doesn't give you everything. So you're forced to kind of make up parts of it.
I think probably anything you put surrounding that tree in that perfect shape that they grew up with is going to be
Mhm.
perfect, but the shape of the tree has to be perfect also for her.
Right, yeah. That's why I'm wondering if I need to maybe move the height of it over a little bit.
Yes,
It's pretty round. I just looked up California oaks and they're very rounded on the top.
yeah,
They're not pointed at all.
No,
All right, so let's,
Yeah, that's it.
if you think of a crescent moon upside down.
Mm-hmm. Look at the picture, and see how the top is shaped.
yeah, it is. It's almost a little rounder, a little flatter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
then
it's
I
flat.
want to make sure this tangent
Mhm.
is right there. So I'm going to lower that cloud.
So once you are satisfied with this underpainting, when can you then go back and start painting over it?
I mean, as soon as it starts to tack up, if I'm painting more opaquely and just putting the paint on top, if I want to do glazing and stuff, then I have to really let it set up. But again, I'm working on so many commissions right now that I can definitely let it sit for a bit before so I probably 2 or 3 days, but to
Okay.
get into it would probably be about a week.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Keep taking my tree down. Does that kind of look like a good height?
Yes.
Yeah,
And so then, yeah, so I want those clouds to not be bumping right into the top. So maybe they come down a little bit.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Changing my mind. I'm trying to squeeze in too much. Try that again. Let's try. And that's again what I really like is this is just can really kind of go by feel a little bit here and see. What I
it might be a
think.
good idea to ask her what color that tree got in the fall, because there's two kinds and they're different colors.
Uh-oh.
The black oaks get yellow orange and the live oaks get kind of a dull red.
Huh.
Okay, I think maybe I heard her say live oaks, but yeah, I'll have to
And
double check.
live oaks, one of their characteristics is they're very wide, they're very broad, and that looks like that.
Yeah, it is broad for
Well, then
sure.
it's gonna have to be like a dull red. But you're
Okay.
just moving, you're just talking about a little bit of color. Maybe.
Yeah, but I would want it to be right.
Yeah.
When you get ready to then paint on this, will you be showing us your as you go?
Yeah, I was thinking next week I would be able to work back into it and use it as the example of design versus detail.
Okay, great. Thank you.
If you guys are okay with that, I always
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I see an angel, Michael. It is. Look at the angel in the cloud on the right. And he just made it. Oh my God, Michael, you did it. Leave it, leave it.
You're rubbing off on me.
So I'm new to oil painting and I was wondering, so the paint, it'll have to be totally dry before you start going in?
I can paint directly. I can paint on it now if I have a light touch and I'm using enough paint. But if I
Okay.
want to glaze in or scrub into it, then I want it to be really quite dry.
Okay.
Those ones that I was showing you earlier of the bike riders, I've just been painting wet into wet and just using progressively more paint on my brush and able to just keep working on
Okay.
them. So it really comes down to what you want. If you want to glaze or scumble,
It needs to be dry.
it needs to be very dry.
Okay.
And Michael, as an acrylic painter, and then Cheryl, you do it. I just kind of think it'd all be drying and I couldn't keep erasing. I don't think I would have control of it enough.
Yeah.
No, but the good thing with acrylics is you can just, instead of, just adding and wiping away, I would just add more, whatever mid value or whatever. That's the great thing about acrylics is you can just keep layering paint in.
You can lift off with a wet brush as well,
Hmm.
but not for days.
Yeah. Well, even like this amount of time that Michael's been doing the clouds,
Yeah.
I'm thinking
No.
everything.
Yeah,
will be
especially if
gone.
you're using a canvas. If you're using a less absorbent surface,
Ah.
you get more time.
Oh, that's interesting. Duh.
It kind of is not so zigzaggy.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Or should I play up the zigzag somehow a little more?
I like zigzag because this takes my eyes off the painting.
Something in the middle. You have a very small one. It could be a bigger one in the middle there at the bottom.
Mhm.
Up, up, up.
Yeah.
Right in there.
Let's see.
I think it's this line that's kind of hurting it,
Yeah,
possibly.
do away with some of the, make it from right there, make it darker a little
Yeah.
bit.
Because I thought that zigzag only went to the top of the tree and then started back up again. I didn't realize it went all the way.
For me, it just feels busier now.
Right. It'll be pretty subtle, but yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, I would like to have a couple bright areas where the clouds, actually capturing that light. And showing, kind of again, kind of repeating some of these rounded shapes.
Right.
but you know, I don't want to stack them on top of the tree. It's like, how do you get tricky and clever without looking too tricky and clever for doing it? I'm wondering, yeah, if we just get rid of that. So what do we got? We kind of go up to here,
Yeah,
here, here, and then
Yeah.
kind of up here, but I'll make this much softer. So the line isn't so strong, so it doesn't shoot us off.
Mhm.
This line here isn't actually going to be dark. I just want to differentiate the light of the sky versus the clouds. Can soften these edges so it's not shooting us off. Bring a hint of sky holes just to. All right, what are you guys seeing now? Is it getting any better or is it just getting even more confused?
I think it looks good.
I like the sea.
Definitely better than previously.
What could I do better, Hassan?
No, so I was saying it looks definitely better than the last try.
Yeah, so it's subtraction. It's, you know, less is more, and trying to keep, you know, that main goal. And maybe I can do it with the negative shape of the sky a little bit too. So this one comes here at an angle, kind of across, a little bit down.
What color is the sky going to be?
I was thinking of light blue, gray, green. More blue towards the top, more greeny, yellowy colors towards
I'm
the
trying to
bottom.
visualize what's going to be in that place where the paint is fairly dark up there, just to your right. To your right, there, up above there. Right in, left, there, down a little. That dark spot right in there, what is that going, that's the spot that's kind of bugging me.
Okay.
So
It
depends
would be
what,
the gray underbelly of the clouds.
okay,
And that won't be very dark at all, just more cool and grayer. Then I would probably add a little bit of pink and yellow to the lightest spots and kind of a bluey blue going down towards a greeny, towards more of a yellow, towards the light source.
okay.
Hmm.
Okay, now I'm noticing that I've got two arms
Mhm.
here.
Hmm.
I probably want to make this one bigger. So I don't have a repetition as much. And what I'll do is break this one.
So
Also,
Michael, I don't want to distract you, but this is Darlene, and I have an appointment today. I have to leave for, when you get to critiquing the work, would you
Uh-huh.
go ahead and critique mine? So
Sure.
I did a color study and I'd like to repaint it, but I'd like to have some critique on it first before I do that. So if you would
Sure.
do that, I'd be grateful. And then
Yeah,
I'll
it's
pick
way
up the
easier
rest
to
of
be
this.
mean when I can't see your face, so that's easy.
So I can get the rest of this from your recorded part, which I really
Absolutely.
am grateful for. But anyway, thank you. If you would do that, I'd be grateful.
Great. All right, so it's already almost noon. And I think you guys, so what I could do is I'm gonna bring some ultramarine blue into this transparent brown oxide color here. And I could really start to kind of, because I've got basically got a 2-value painting at this phase, right?
Yeah.
So then what I can do, and what I'll probably do after class more, is I can start really punching up those shadows and really building up the idea of this form.
Wow.
And I, of course, don't need to be using a giant brush. I can grab a smaller brush, so I'm, still a big brush, still a shop brush here.
Would you mind moving your easel over a little bit so that we can see what you're painting on the right, please? Thank you.
Like that.
So talk, Michael, while you're laying in those darks,
Okay, so what I'm, yep, what I'm
because that's
thinking-
that's a big game changer.
yeah, it will really hopefully start to get a convincing sense of form and structure. When you do 2 values, you begin to see the lights and the darks, but once you start introducing a 3rd value, you can really start to get the idea of form and how things are turning. At least I hope so.
Well, it also makes the sky that you put in, the light in the sky pop.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
good. So I'm just looking for my structure. I'm really looking for, what's light, what's dark. And building that up a little more so that I can see how things are moving, turning. Again, it should help to convey my underlying design sense. I could be coming through, and it might even be smarter to be using a little brush and starting to figure out kind of a little more of the design sense. And, actually starting to almost starting to think about the end result painting a little bit. But a lot of times I still like to just kind of block in big and get things covered and, really get myself off to the races, as it were. And
While you're putting in that other tree back there, are you gonna like just let them run together, or are you gonna give it a little bit, push that back?
yeah, I'll probably cool these shadows down just a touch more. And, because the tree will be in reds, I'll be able to bring some of that. But I do like the idea of lost and found edges too, where I can. But that's, a matter of how photorealistic do I want it versus how. So I'll have to kind of play that up a little bit and figure out also kind of what the client wants. I should ask her what are it's often nice that I have so many paintings on my website because I can kind of say, do you like the ones that are more impressionist? Do you like the ones that are more airy and soft edge? Do you like the, thicker paint, the thinner paint? You like more of the glow? What is it? Why did you, reach out to me? What is it about my work? And that's also the problem with having so many different things that I do, is that sometimes I'll be thinking they want one thing that I'm doing or whatever I'm into at that moment. I just think everybody wants whatever I'm painting versus, oh, no, I wanted, your other style.
So is it a tangent on the right where the shadow is, to the right of the little tree?
Yeah.
Up a bit,
And here.
up to the right? Yeah. Nope. Yep. Kind of down there.
Yeah, so I will, I'm still looking for my big shapes, but yeah, like when I come into paint,
Okay.
I will, try to figure out what can I do to differentiate, these. I'm using again such a bad photo. I'll have to make up some of that. But yeah, right now, again, I just know that the detail will come and I'll be able to
Sure.
figure it out. But if it is, if it is really getting tricky for you, or when you're designing it, again, this layer is mostly for you. The end
Okay.
the end viewers aren't going to see too much of it. So, I could literally be just drawing in strong, shapes if I wanted to, because I'll be painting over this.
Okay. Yeah. I only noticed that because that's what I struggle with.
Yeah, and that is a good thing to catch earlier than later for sure.
What's behind the little tree? The two trees in the middle? Is that supposed to be a shadow back there?
Yeah, there's a third tree back there.
Because it's really light right above there, yeah.
Yeah, because it's doing the same kind of triangle formation.
What the heck is that? It's not mine, is it?
I can. Oh. I'm looking at I have my art class, so that's helping me. I am, it's okay.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll do these underpaintings pretty messy, kind of like now. And sometimes they'll really be kind of refined. But I find if I go too refined with it, oftentimes that I actually end up protecting it. And that actually having, especially if I know I'm going to come over it with thicker paint. I don't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that. I think that's it. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'll get back to you and see if that's, wow, okay. Yeah, I can't believe one more meeting.
All right, well, I think that's Do you guys kind of see what I'm doing, how I'm building? You know, I took my just drawing that I had underneath and kind of covered it and still kind of doing the wipe away. But I can really kind of figure out my form, my structure, you know, what's working, what's not, able to modify the tree, get a little bit more of an interesting shape. Hopefully. And so I will not bore you with that and use this time to go and look at your guys' paintings so that we don't go too long.
It's beautiful, Michael.
Looks very nice.
Yes, it is.
You think it's a little more interesting than the reference?
Yes,
Definitely.
yes. Are you going to carry the mountain in the distance on the right side of the tree just a little bit? In the back, on the right side of the tree, will it
Yeah,
continue?
so I'll just do it as a wipe away just so you can see it.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of an inverse here.
yeah. Yeah,
So that's kind of where imagine that's not sky, but imagine it's a mountain.
yeah, perfect, perfect.
Yes.
Remember to come back in and put it back in when we finish class here.
Now you've thought of everything.
There we go. You did. Now you've thought of everything. Here, I'll just put it back in with a brush. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. That'll be the
There
furthest
you go.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's perfect. Oh, I like it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
But yeah, so a good idea punching that up. I like taking the shadows longer. And the cool thing too is that's gonna almost work as a counterbalance to the clouds going off the side here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I should do something here.
Hmm.
And then I've got this big butt crack here.
Hmm.
Ron, are you talking
Well,
about rounding off?
wait till you get there when you start painting.
Michael, this is so instructive. I have just been glued to the source, like the photograph, in my painting career.
Mm,
Me too.
So, yeah, just watching you think of design first, not the photo first.
Isn't
yeah,
it?
I mean, and
Isn't
especially when
it-
it's, you know, it would be really easy for me to use the paint as closely because I know what they want this tree, but it just wasn't interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the
Yeah, I can see where you would want to round off that hill on the right. That bottom. Yeah,
Hmm.
that might feel better.
you mean softening this a little bit?
Oh, above, that really, the
Above.
shadow. Just rounding that off a little bit.
Yeah, right in there.
Hmm.
And that shadow is kind of the same thickness all the way.
Yeah, it really was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's make it thicker here.
Yeah, I noticed it was thicker, right in there.
It's actually a shadow of two trees, not just one.
Yeah. It probably even gets thicker up here behind the second tree. And what actually might be nice, let's see if I can get away with it, is nice to almost have a little bit of light coming.
Breaking through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Woo, that's better.
I think you did it.
Hmm.
And then we'll have a little bit of underneath from that back tree. Oh, no, it's over here. Sorry, I put it in the wrong spot.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, where can I open it up so it's not just a giant dark mass?
Mhm.
Well, if that other tree is gonna be a little lighter in color, it will show up differently. It'll show
Right.
up further back. That might make the difference.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I have to step back and just say, are like these shapes starting to get too repetitive? Can I link them up? What can I do to make it again stay organic? And right now I see this tangent right here.
Mhm.
So which one do I bring across? Probably this guy. Phew, that was a fun 30 minutes there. Thank you guys for letting me do that. I will kind of refine the shapes and the forms and get rid of all those little funny lines that I just made there with cleaning out shadows and get this kind of resolved a little bit more before next class. And then I will be showing you how we retain design but still bring in detail. So, and how much detail, how little detail, where can we have lost and found edges and all of that, if that is okay with you guys for next class.
Sounds wonderful.
Would you
That's perfect.
Would you
You guys-
mind posting, a photo of this and, whatever couple of transitions you make between now and then on Padlet?
Sure.
Yeah, this is really helpful, watching you go through this process.
Oh, good.
I think we learn the most when we're watching you paint and you're telling us why you're doing things.
And I'm
Exactly.
messing everything up.
I agree.
Michael, you actually give us the freedom to see that we don't have to paint from a photograph. We can choose what we want and make it look the way we need it to look using all of these
Right.
armatures. We can add elements to our painting to make it more interesting.
Right. Just combining different images and,
Right,
again, the big thing is I had to make the clouds lit the same as the ground, right?
right,
Feel like they're in the same world.
yes.
Hopefully it's starting to feel that way. I'm still feeling like there's a
Yeah.
tangent here, like these two
Yeah,
shapes do the same.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to understand
That's
what it
really
is that
bothersome.
you're not liking about that spot.
Yeah, that's bothersome. It's right in the
I see a
middle.
line right there where the dark here lines up with the light there. And it just feels like they're kind of the same shot size.
Yeah,
Right.
So
And it's
what
right
I
in
might
the middle.
do is just make this guy a little more interesting underneath. Clouds get progressively smaller as they recede back into space towards the horizon line.
Yeah.
So I could put a whole nother line of little cutie clouds down there. Because what the world needs now is more cutie clouds.
and,
Do you have any suggestion, Michael, when you combine like two different photos for color harmony? Because when I try to like use two different photos, my two different part looks totally different. So it's not
Yeah, no,
harmonious.
that's a great question. And what I did was I basically just took the chroma down on both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I would otherwise I'd even just do a black and white after I've kind of combined them.
Yeah. Okay.
What before, here's the first version where I just literally superimposed one over the other. And you can see how out of, totally different worlds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So by taking the color out, they get a lot closer, but you know, there's a lot of atmosphere going on down here in these mountains. Like they don't even look like mountains.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I will
Yeah,
have to
right.
figure that out. But what I could do, it might be kind of nice, is to, you know, if it's early morning, there could be some fog coming down over the tops of these hills. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
could really soften some of these so that it's, you know, really pushing them back. So I can play with different elements like that.
Mm. Lovely. Will you be painting this next week or by then?
Yeah. So next week I'll refine it, you know, kind of clean up my mess a little bit. But yeah, I'll just come back in next week and start painting. Hopefully learn what color those darn trees are really supposed to be. And
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that.
all right, me too. All right. Let me bring up our Padlet real quick. All right, so everybody sees our Padlet page?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so last week's class videos, a great little tiny short video on here about Neil deGrasse Tyson and just why he likes his phone cover so much, which is a Van Gogh painting. In the class handouts, we got the Armature that I read to you guys there. And then I just went ahead and posted a whole bunch of different references you guys can choose, you know, on there. And I will try to remember, this one might have. Okay, yeah, here's his what not to do images
Yeah.
for you, Hassan. So, you know, carving the painting right in half, 2 equal spacing, which is what I talked about with my trees. I did that so much in the beginning. Too many parallel lines too near the edge. I still do that one. That one gets me in trouble all the time where I'm like, I love that little tree. I got to get it in there. But a line of trees. So he's just kind of showing you how they line right up, almost creating a diagonal. So if it's not purposeful, that can be really bad. I do that a lot too, especially when I'm doing the wipe away. Is I'll just all of a sudden have like a line where, you know, the biggest tree, middle, you know, daddy tree, mommy tree, baby tree, you know, and they just make this line right from their tops down. Equal spacing. Again, he's got a space here, a space here, and a space here. Centered objects, so he just put his tree right in the middle. Scattered objects, which can be tricky when you're doing like sagebrush or, you know, little flowers or anything.
Yeah.
See how spotty it looks. Same thing happens with clouds. I see that all the time. 3 equal divisions. This is a tough one because the rule of thirds kind of says, well, that one should work, where you have the horizon line and the mountains are exactly the same amount of height, and thusly the sky is also that same. So that often reminds me of a flag. Equal masses, so the clouds are all the same size, even though, you know, the top one should be probably bigger if they're coming towards us. Centered horizon line, that's a hard one to see. I wonder why he covered his horizon line so much.
Yeah.
Crowded design, that's a, you know, sometimes that can really work. There's some paintings and painters that really can get away with that, but often, you know, less is more. And equal masses, he's just got all these masts and everything else. Everything's kind of the same, taking up the same amount of shape.
On a couple of those, it would make a big difference depending upon what the value of the things were, how close the value, like the
Yeah,
sagebrush one.
you can really push a lot with color, value, temperature shifts. I mean, Monet gets away with so much because he's always constantly playing with color intensity and, you know, high and low chroma. And then here he shows just more examples, a little more complicated examples of his different designs. So there's a lot here. Hoping you guys can print them. If you can't, I actually found all of these on Pinterest, and it's easy to print from Pinterest, just copy and save from there. But otherwise, again, for those of you who don't remember, if once you click open the scene, you just go over to these 3 dots on the far right, click that, and download attachment.
Yeah.
And just tell it where to save on your desktop or wherever. You don't have to save it forever, just long enough to print them up. But I find these so useful And it is so interesting when you start to observe artists, you'll be like, oh yeah, Don Bishop loves the steel yard and the L formation. So-and-so really likes the circular formation. Michael Orwick really loves the S curve. And you'll start to see this repetition of designs that we're just kind of innately attracted to. So you'll find, there's other artists that really like that cave or tunnel design. Yeah. I'm trying to find the cave or tunnel to show you guys, but all right, cool. And questions for class, Darlene. I think Darlene's actually not in the class any longer. I think she's moving or traveling or something.
Wasn't she here earlier?
Today?
Yeah, I was
Oh.
talking to her about this question.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think she just asked you to look at her painting and
Yeah, of course. So maybe today's your last day. I don't know. All right, let's read through it real quickly. This is probably a dumb question, but I'm not sure how to make an abstract underpainting and be able to start painting over this while the underpainting is still wet. If I do this in acrylics, it dries fast, but I can't really wipe out. And if I paint it more complete and then paint over it in oil, it seems I'm having a hard time even asking the right question here. Does anyone understand what I'm trying to ask? And Cheryl, you said when Michael does that kind of underpainting, he does it with acrylic because it dries quickly, but he knows exactly what he wants to do. Wipeout is usually done with oils because they don't dry very fast and can be worked much longer, but that has to dry a bit before it is painted over. I use acrylics exclusively, but it's golden open acrylic, which takes longer to dry. I do an underpainting, but mine is a bit different. I do most of my lifting with a damp brush. Hope that helps. And Darlene says, thank you, helps a lot. I've never heard of open acrylics. I'm going to look for some. So yeah, it's two different styles. And so Darlene, if you get a chance to rewatch this, like you said you would, I apologize if I didn't make that very clear that, yeah, the acrylic is a very different style for me. When I paint with acrylics, often it will be just that loose kind of sketch that I showed you, the painting, just kind of knock in the idea, or I'll build it up using acrylics, but I don't really do much wipe away unless it's like we talked about earlier, in only little areas where it's still wet. But if I did a larger painting, I just can't do it. So what I do with acrylics is I literally will just build up my values. I'll just make a white pile and maybe, let's say, a burnt umber pile, and then in between it mix a couple different values, and I will just paint over that area over and over until I get the shapes and values that I want. With the wipe away, yes, unless you use kind of a fast drying oil paint, which there are some out there, they're called quick dry. They used to be called fast matte. And those dry much, much quicker. If you want to do an underpainting and you know you're going to paint over it soon, the best color is burnt umber. It's the fastest drying oil paint color. At least as far as I can tell. White is the slowest, so just know that if you add white to your underpainting, it's going to dry even slower. Indian yellow sometimes is really slow to dry, but mostly with my wipeaways, they're thin enough that they dry fairly quickly. But by that I mean a day or two, or sometimes 3. You can put a fan on it, that seems to help. But yeah, oil painting is a game of patience sometimes. That's again why I work on multiple paintings at a time. If I come back in and I want to work on an underpainting, but it's still too wet, I just start another painting. And that's usually works out for me. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this. This looks like a long thing here, so I'll read that later. About ChatGPT's view on formula for art. Okay, cool. I'll look at that. I'll get some of the reference photos and artists that we admire. Thank you, Lisa, for adding a couple more from today and last week's. I don't think I added any from last week as well into here. I should have had you guys kind of tell me your highlights, but I think the Bernie Fuchs and the one with the bunny and a couple others would be nice just because they're such great examples. I added a couple more, and here we are to Bonnie, or no, should I start at the end this week? Can't remember where I started last time.
Oh, who did that beautiful tree?
Doesn't matter. This is Bonnie. If you start at the end, you can go ahead and talk about my paintings, but I have to leave. So,
Okay, do you have a couple minutes to talk real quick?
sure. Yeah. So
All right.
that's my reference painting at the top. And then I did two paintings. I started with oil, which I'm not familiar with, and it took so long that I then did another acrylic painting. So I have two on there. One is acrylic and one is oil. That's the oil.
Okay,
And so I rubbed off a lot of stuff. So I don't, I'm just experimenting with this because I've never done it. But I guess what I would like is just feedback about my design. And I feel like I learned so much today about design that I would go in differently.
okay. Yeah, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come back in with my darks and kind of reestablish, some of the shapes of the darks.
Right.
That kind of helps to cement things down to kind of build again that foundation that we're going to build all the color and light onto.
Right.
So that's a good step. You can continue to paint and paint and paint. You're just going to need to use either thicker paint or a softer touch or a combination of both.
Right.
As you keep painting in, so you can paint, wet into wet forever.
Right. Yeah.
But it is a bit of a trick. You're really going to want to watch your pressure as you touch the surface of your canvas with your brush.
Right.
So it comes a very light pressure. A lot of times when we think, man, I need to load this painting, we'll push too hard and then they just blend and blur.
Right. So I do have an acrylic painting underneath this on there.
Okay, great.
Which
See, this is so much stronger. You've got your, nice, sharp, crisp darks that you're going to really be able to build up on.
And you painted the oil paint over the top of this?
No, these are two separate paintings. I have two paintings I'm working on using the same reference.
Gotcha.
So this is, I started the oil painting and realized that it takes so long to dry. Then I decided to do it also acrylic painting of the same photograph of the same reference.
That's so smart. And you'll learn so much by doing that. The similarities and the differences, I think, will be really great for you to moving forward.
Right. So I just want some, what would you change about the structure, the armature of this painting?
Right. You kind of got an X going here with the reflections and the trees. You've also kind of got the V or angles. I don't know how much detail to get into. Are you going to be able to come back in with the, mix the sky color and kind of get some more of the sky holes and kind of thin out some areas?
I'd like to do that. And I guess what I'm wondering is this V of the trees, is that too much? Is that too,
I think so. In my opinion, I would want to break it. I like this little break here. I like the fact that this tree's got, air through it.
Do more air. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so before you move forward with detail too much, but you can kind of be doing both at the same time using sky holes, remixing that sky color. So that's what's so great about acrylics is you can just layer them so easily.
Right. Yeah.
And the white in acrylics is pretty good. It has pretty decent coverage. Depending, I will usually buy cheaper acrylics and better white acrylic.
Yeah.
The pigment load is a lot higher.
Yeah. I use golden is my favorite.
Oh, perfect then. You're in good shape.
That's what I use. I mean, acrylic painting is what I've usually done. So
okay.
I want to learn how to do oil too. So that's what I'm hoping to learn.
If you really need to cover something up on an acrylic painting, you're now used to always use his gesso for his white.
Oh, wow.
Because it covers well.
It's very thick.
Well, you can thin it out a little bit, but
Yeah.
it covers, and he always used that.
Yeah. I like my titanium white. That's
what
Yeah,
like
so do I.
yeah. Anyway,
No, I like it. I think it's got a good feeling to it. You know, I think you're moving in the right direction. You know, now it's, you know, how much detail, because it's already kind of a nice painting. It's just how refined you want to make it, how and then so I think what your next step is to you've heard of positive and negative shapes in painting.
yes.
So yeah, instead of thinking so much about the trees, now I start to think about the negative shapes
Okay.
and finding those and which are interesting and how could I make them more interesting if I want to. But yeah,
Right.
you're right. That was a good observation. I think this line is almost
Too straight. Yeah.
too straight. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, thank you. That's helpful.
All right. Well, have a good lunch or whatever
Okay, all
gotta
right,
go
thank you.
do.
All right,
Take care.
bye-bye.
All right, let's just keep rolling across and we'll go pretty quickly so that we can try to get them all because I want to run to lunch here in just a minute too. I haven't eaten yet today. So Cheryl, very nice.
Looks very nice.
Yeah, using some thicker paint and
Beautiful.
that radiating line. Good job. So what I would suggest, Cheryl, before I even ask you your opinion of your own painting, is I see what you did with your shadows. You just added black. And what I would
Spray,
do
yeah,
is mix this color,
in with
maybe
that.
blue or with a touch of black, and you know, paint those areas so that it doesn't just feel like black paint put
Okay.
across. But that's a fine way to mark it and you know, kind of figure out your shapes and get it covered. But like, you know, the shadow here is going to be stronger than the shadow here. Like these aren't going to be probably pitch black.
Right, okay.
They're going to be just a darker version of this grass. And I think that will be your biggest next step. Yeah, tell me a little bit about the image here.
Well, I had gotten that, and originally I thought it was a photograph, but it was one of your paintings. And I was having trouble with colors, seeing what I wanted to do. And then when I realized that it was actually a photograph of your interpretation of what the color was, I just kind of quit and went off on my own, and it felt much better just doing that.
Good, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the main thing that bothers me. We can ask others for their thoughts on this real quickly here, you know. But no, I think it's really quite nice. It's good to see you using more paint as opposed to making your
Thank
acrylics
you.
look like a watercolor.
Yeah. And I made that a wheat field because I didn't know what was over there.
I have no idea.
I like when she got to the wheat field, she did modify those shadows.
Yeah, going up the edges of
Yeah,
So much
yeah.
softer.
so yeah, you're beginning to do it in areas, but yeah, I think that's the next thing. Otherwise, yeah, it just kind of it doesn't quite look like shadows, it looks like black lines.
Okay,
We understand that it's meant to be shadows, but
okay.
yeah, shadows are just darker colors of the thing that they're on.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So Cheryl, I think that's that's one of your better ones.
Thank you.
And what Michael's saying is that like, if you look where the shadow crosses one of the light streaks in the road, that shadow would actually be, like
Much
Michael
lighter.
says, is a darker version of the light.
Uh-huh.
So the shadow doesn't create a different color, it creates a different value of the color that it falls on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started to bring the other colors over top of it, but I didn't get any further than that.
But if you took the light value in the road and
Mm-hmm.
darkened that and made that streak through your shadow the same width of the streak that's in the road, then I think that would read as darker shadow falling across that lighter surface.
Okay.
Yeah,
It seems to look better further away than it does up front.
Yeah, probably because our brain knows what's going on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just trying to find like, here's Eric Bowman, and he's got dark shadows in there, but still you can see where the shadow is and what it's over, just a darker green, strong there. It gets a little bit of warmth kind of wrapping around in it. And as it goes out, it gets even warmer. He really plays that up.
okay.
Trying to see, there was
I'll
one.
try and do that.
Yeah, like this is a good example of, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And my trees are too, on the left-hand side, those trees are too dark back there. They're usually dark, but not quite that dark.
right. Okay. Great
Thank you.
job.
Thanks, Don.
Very nice, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
It's beautiful, Cheryl. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. So Darlene asked us to take a look at her. So here is her reference, a beautiful fall light hitting on here. I already see what would be my problem is these trees are very repetitious. But they are different colors, but just the size and shape gets monotonous. And then I guess the bank here goes all the way over to here. So this is where the water kind of comes and wraps around. Yeah. All right, let's see what Darlene chose to do there.
Much better.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah, I love the darks in the water and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and different shapes, made one of the big trees behind, which kind of frames the beautiful colors here. Yeah, I think you're in a pretty good place, Darlene. I like that this trunk is closer than the trunk back there. It's not all just lined up. You've moved things around a little bit, but in a really good way.
Reflections are nice.
Yeah.
Looks pretty organic.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't look like just trees in a row like the reference. Yeah, I would be careful with this shape here. Is very solid, where you've got all these other ones that are nice and broken up. And so see if you can't do something to kind of make this a little more possibly like these. Yeah, I'll be curious what you do with the foreground here. I can see that you're just still kind of carving it out. So be curious what you do to kind of, bring some of those grasses up in front a little bit. I don't know if this is just kind of a rock right in the corner. I would probably just change that to grass and make it not as interesting so that it's, again, we just don't want our eye going right to this corner. We want the eye really kind of going here and kind of along this horizon. And I kind of like this counterbalance of this really bright area and then this dark area kind of works well to balance the kind of the weight of the painting. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I like it.
I like
I
it.
do too.
I like her color
Everything.
combinations
me
too.
and shadows. I think maybe if she just made this corner dark instead on the left, yeah, just made it dark and took out that line right there.
Right. And then, just figuring out what to do because it's pretty much a very clean line. It gets a little
And make
messy
it
here.
irregular, make that line irregular.
Would the water be, could it be a little lighter? It seems like quite dark. I don't know.
I like the darkness.
A little bit grayed down a little bit when the shadow area is.
Yeah, I was not sure.
Generally not quite as dark as the thing it's reflecting, and it's not quite as light as the thing that it's reflecting. So this actually works pretty well. I mean, there can be dark water, for whatever reason, but you could probably definitely play that up a little bit, not make it quite as dark.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nice job, Darlene.
Yes.
Very good.
All right, and Diane, do you have something new for us too?
No, I have my broken arm as my excuse. I haven't painted
Oh, that's
yet.
right. That's right. Okay.
So no, I'm just watching at this point.
All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. I forgot.
Yeah.
And Don, look what you got going on here. That is
Oh, that's so
Wow, I
beautiful,
love
Don.
that.
I love that.
Yes,
It's pretty crude.
Well,
I think so.
you have color in the
seem
right
like a
place.
crude guy. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about this and what your thoughts and ideas are here, Don.
Well, let's, can you go to the reference photo? Right there. Now you notice how dark and atmospheric that is. I'm nowhere near that. So the goal is light coming from the right. There's a dark canopy, but it's got a little bit of light in it. It's a little bit of that tunnel armature
Yeah, it really is.
with some diagonals. So I think there's plenty going on with it. I cropped it to the right of those trees. There was a really, really bright spot. Like there was a meadow there and all the lights coming out of that meadow across the scene. And it just drew your eye like the sun. So I cropped the original closer to these trees. So it's a little bit more subtle.
Good choice.
Yeah, I
And
think
then,
so too.
then the next photo is the wash off or wipe off, not wash off, wipe away to just to get a general sense of where the light's coming from and darks and lights. And then started refining it, making the path a little bit more obvious. What I do like about this is because it's so much lighter than the reference, I can continue to refine this, bringing in more intermediates and getting it more atmospheric and closer in value to the original.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can simply glaze in a little bit when you're kind of ready for that stage, just to kind of darken that if you want a little bit. And I really actually am liking some of this transparency that we're seeing in certain areas. Like here, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I wouldn't overwork that too
Yeah,
much.
I wouldn't overwork it too much either. My only, one issue is you got a line going directly into the corner here. If you can kind of maybe
Sure,
either just don't make it so, maybe just soften it or whatever.
sure.
And then I did notice something in the tangent in the reference photo that I thought was kind of interesting. Look at how the light hits right along the edge of this grass. But I guess I see now it's going up and rolls across the top a little bit, but softly.
Yeah,
Radiating lines.
it's a subtle reference.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, but nice job. I really like where you're going with it. I mean, it already has such a nice feeling, even with the, grayer colors, the cools. Like I kind of like the play of the warms and the cools. It's not so much in the reference. It's all kind of warms, just lights and darks.
Where would you go with this?
What would I do next? I mean, is it pretty dry?
Yeah, it's dry enough.
And how detailed do you want to get with it? Like, do you want there
I'm
to
not,
be
it's
grasses, or are you
funny
pretty happy?
as an architect, I was very detailed, but as a painter, I really like the impressionistic stuff and the tonalist stuff and like detail is very much implied.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, this reads like grass, even though you haven't even put a single grass blade in there, just because of the brush strokes and the angles of the lights and darks. And just, yeah, I really like this kind of using shape more to tell us things versus, actual detail and texture. Yeah, and I just so love this area. But that's dangerous for me because then I all of a sudden want to protect it and it might, get in the way. But I think you've done a really nice job just using shapes, big shapes, and moving the light across the scene. Yeah. I kind of even like the bright light back here, but maybe just a touch darker by
Yeah,
glazing into it or
sure.
scuffling into it a little bit and kind of some of these grays. Yeah, because that's sure nice too. Yeah, that's a tricky one for me. I don't know. I don't even want to tell you what to do.
Okay.
I see
Maybe he
that
needs
what
to keep that
Armature
one and
talked
start
about,
another one.
that was the spiral.
Well, But that's the conversation I have with myself every time I get to a point where I think, wow, this is better than what I normally do. Let's just keep it. But then I don't learn because I don't learn to push myself.
Right, yeah. Well, the good news is if it gets really dry, like very dry, and then you come in and glaze in and you don't like it as much, you can wipe most, 99% of that glaze back off.
Sure.
So you can kind of try, see what happens, or you can take it into a photo app and just kind of darken an area a little bit to see, because then it becomes more about these light rays in the foreground, because right now they are kind of competing, aren't they?
Right. Yeah, I think that back end has to get subdued a little bit.
I think I would too, the more I look at it.
Because I think the point of interest is kind of the mid to lower third of the painting.
Yeah, these really interesting, strong contrast angles.
I don't know. Is multiple areas of interest.
Yeah, kind of, but it's very cohesive. They're not
Unlimited.
fighting each other. They're just helping tell the story of what's going on with that light and atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm intrigued with the Zorn palette with using a little bit of Payne's gray, um, earth, red oxide or red trans red oxide if needed, and that's and Indian yellow. So I
Right.
guess not really Zorn, but
Yeah, it's like
it's
Michael's version of the Zorn palette.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great work. All right, Gail, are you still here with us?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. So
Wow,
yeah, look at that
Gail,
soft.
that's gorgeous.
beautiful it is.
Cool.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's interesting because you don't really have any hard edges, but you have like soft and then much softer, like lost edges. So these edges feel harder. Like you've got all this gradation of really soft edges up top. Like it really keeps the focus in the scene. 24 by 36. So it's a
Yeah.
good size
Oh.
one too.
Mm.
It's my biggest one.
Hey, all
Well,
right.
her only hard edge is right near the area of interest, where the water meets if that's water, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
that meets the background.
Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah, and
Which
I would probably soften that transition, even just
Yeah.
a little line of red or a little bit of something there. But yeah, you got that. And yeah, I mean, some of the trees feel a little bit crisp in a good way. But then, yeah, I mean, it just really reads because of these super soft edges kind of all the way around it. Like it's like the camera is focusing in just right. And it's how we see as humans too, right? When you focus in on something, the periphery image is very soft. So even that you're looking at your screen, just continue to look at the screen, but then kind of think about what's going on at the corners of your vision,
Yeah.
and it's much
Yeah.
blurrier and softer. And so, yeah, I always appreciate when painters paint like humans see versus how the camera sees, which is equal everywhere.
Yeah, I really like how there's more light coming through the trees near the center and not so much on the perimeter.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's so great. You can still tell there's trunks here, but they become much softer.
And the faint glisten on the grass in the foreground.
Lovely.
Nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and are we seeing glare here, or are these kind of like lighter clouds that we're seeing?
There are lighter clouds there, but it was hard to take a picture of it.
Yeah, I mean, it works either way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there
I
are-
love the transitions in the sky. Just amazing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's a
I had to
gorgeous
do
sky.
that.
Yeah,
Well, there
how
are
did
a lot of
you,
wispy,
Go ahead.
white clouds in there. So yeah, that is paint. A lot of it. There's a little bit of glare in there.
And what did you use to soften your edges so nicely?
I just used I took my instructor's advice and used great big brushes.
Uh-huh.
So I was painting, so Bigger brushes and bigger strokes.
There you go. Love it. Love it. This one's gonna sell.
Thank you. And I think that there's an underpainting. I don't know. Sometimes when I post things on Padlet, I push the wrong button. And no, it would be up at the very top. So I may have, yeah, I
Yeah.
pushed, instead of push publish, I pushed cancel, so it never made it. But I have a huge underpainting that I wanted to look at too, and I guess I didn't publish it like I was supposed to. It's actually a 30 by 40.
Okay.
And the underpainting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Feel free to share that, of course. And we'll all take a look. All right, Hassan. So here's your reference. Beautiful.
Oh, so nice.
Love the like long shadows that
Yeah.
attracted the attention.
Yeah, look at that radiating line, huh?
Mhm.
Nice job. So you were cheating. You were doing it before I even told you about it.
I knew you would tell. That's why I
Yeah,
copied
exactly.
it. Fortune teller.
Okay, so this is the underpainting here.
Yeah, that's the one I did. Yeah, last week I was like really busy with something else, family and other stuff, so didn't get much chance to paint. So I did it like yesterday night. Yeah, did a quick underpaint. As not as refined I used to make, but yeah, here it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. Looks like you did the wipe away and then you came back in and added, darker lines and stuff over the top, correct?
Yeah, I add a bit of darker line after wipe away. So cleaned up, so open up the sky a bit. Then there was a few more trees in the reference photo. Just leaf was behind. I just mainly the large trees, the focal point, and I love the small, almost like twiggy tree. Left it there and opened up the leg a bit wider. So yeah, that's the change I made.
Yeah, and I think this is going to become your focal point because you're going to have a strong contrast of a dark right near a bright light. So which is fortunate and unfortunate. The unfortunate thing is you're going to want to fix how these limbs look because it goes, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin.
Yeah,
And then like this
very
branch ends really thick. So, I'm always suggesting you guys use as big a brush as possible. But there are times when a little brush or a brush with a really nice edge is going to be your friend. Or what I'll do is take my Q-tip and kind of come back in oftentimes and just kind of clean up some of those little areas, just kind of push up against it and kind of clean up where it gets a little too thick. Like this is almost as thick as the base of the tree all of a sudden.
Yeah,
But, I mean, I'm just picking on you. I'm not even picking on you. I'm just advice for the future, or things you might have to make this tree a little bit thicker so that this doesn't feel so thick. Just as it comes down.
I thought I would fix it in the after paint on the first layer.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, exactly. So I did my first color pass. Is still not finished?
Okay.
Because you can see the color harmony difference. There's like kind of autumn scene. I tried to push the painting towards the red more. I did for the tree, but didn't get a chance for the other part of the painting. But yeah, so yeah, the tree still look too. As you said, I need to I need to overcome my laziness and use a proper brush.
Yeah, that's what we're always saying about you. You've got a full-time job, a child, and all your side projects. And we're always just like, man, that guy is lazy. So don't worry about that. I will comment a little bit that I think you're a little more beyond some of these brush strokes that I'm seeing in the leaves. I feel like you are reverting back to a little bit of a dab, 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 dab. And so a lot of these are becoming repetitious. But that, you can definitely fix and kind of come back in. but just be a little bit careful. And it could be that it's standing out just because everything else is, you know, still in the beginning stage. And it does look like you fixed a lot of the branches. I don't know how you, oh, you kind of painted over it.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
that's good. I mean, yeah, whatever it takes.
Sorry, Michael, I didn't get that. What did you suggest for the trees? Shall I not, shall I use like a like single stroke for larger areas? Is that
Yes, exactly.
okay?
Where can you kind of simplify and just, yeah, I just like this area and a couple other areas. It feels like a step backwards for your painting. Like we've all seen you, you know, being able to be more secure and paint the actual shape of the thing versus just
Okay.
yeah, be careful. And I do the same thing, and sometimes it kind of works a little bit. But anytime I see myself just dabbing, like, okay, this is a leaf. Now I need 100 more. Dot 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 dot. You know, the same thing with grasses. You know, one line equals one grass. 100 lines equals 100 grasses. Look for the shape. Look for the value more than the representation of the thing. But I mean, again, it's hard to judge because, you know, I know that everything else is still being built up. But I do love the colors. I like that you have, you know, it's hard to do red as a light side and a shadow side, right? Because it just becomes kind of a different color. So I think you're doing a pretty good job. Let me go back to that reference.
At the top, yeah.
Okay, so what we're getting here too is a lot of transparency. Even though they're big, thick leaves, there's still a lot of light getting through and, you know, illuminating these. So you can see even here, I can't really see individual leaves hardly ever. So it's making more of shapes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I
Yeah.
think you're off to a good start. And no, I don't think you're lazy at all. So don't worry about that. Yeah, I look forward to seeing how it progresses. I kind of do like though the extension on it here.
I do. Okay.
I don't
Yeah, I
know
can
if
extend a bit.
for one, this tree lines up so specifically with the end of it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think I like that.
I like the extension.
I do
Yeah.
too.
I do
Yeah.
too. I think you could tiptoe into that, like, you know, like those wispy tonalist branches. So you could start with that and then that kind of framework and then add until it looked right. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's probably what I
part of
would
it.
kind of do is almost draw those out. And I would probably use like the burnt umber or a transparent earth red almost to kind of sketch them out. And that way, because in some areas where they're thin, it'll look like they're somewhat transparent. What I really like too is the transition of the warm light as it's kind of enveloping things.
Mhm.
So you might be needing to kind of come back because yours got all the way to dark, right?
Yeah.
So these are actually yellow down to orange, down to red, you know, and then down to dark. So it just depends on how strong you end up making the actual light source eventually.
Mhm. I did something with the branch of the tree. So as you in the last video, you were saying about reflection from the sky dome and reflection from the like grass.
Mhm.
So on the left side, I tried to do that, but I wasn't sure it was successful enough.
I think that's really nice because it really gives the tree form. You know, it's not just a big dark mass. You've got a light side, you've got the
Mhm.
dark side facing us, and then yeah, you've got a little bit of a reflected cooler light coming back in. I think that's really, you see how that creates a form. It turns the tree, rolls it around.
You could take
Mhm.
that up as you go. You take that a little further up.
Yep. And underneath
Mhm.
this branch a little bit. And
Yeah, underneath there.
Yeah, good idea.
And make that little skinny
yeah,
tree.
again, looking at Eric's painting again, you know, all the reflected light and cool reflected light. I mean, he's so good, but you can really go overboard too. You got to remember that reflected light is not as strong as, you know, the straight light.
Highlight. Yeah, yeah. That should be the shadow family, right?
So you can see the reflected light here is coming off the light of the grasses and the warmth, whereas the reflected light here is coming back from the backside and the cools.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really go crazy with that stuff. So, you know, kind of a little less is more, but it's sure nice to see examples of that. I think this is the one we talked about so much. Lori Kersey's painting here with the reflected light, cool, warms, all the different things. Great. I think it's lovely. I think you're off to a good start. Good luck.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
too.
All right. Oh, maybe it was Karen that's no longer going to be in our class. Is Karen here? I apologize when I have it, when I'm sharing the screen, I can't see everybody. All right. So I think maybe Karen isn't in the class any longer. All right, we'll jump over to Linda. So is this your reference here, Linda?
Yes, it was one that was on Padlet.
Yeah, I think that's Mark Hansen painting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I really messed up my painting, but be
Yeah,
mean to me.
Nice.
it's not bad.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I knew it. I knew it, Michael.
Yeah, what you did do, I mean, it's nice. It's nice, but I almost mean nice in a bad way a little bit. It's just very, very friendly, and it feels kind of like a greeting card picture or something. It's I don't know quite what you did, but you simplified everything for one. And I don't hate it by any means. I think there's a lot of really nice things going on. But I think you lost a little bit about what, let me see if I can find that reference. I think that was in last week's class.
Yeah. I
All right.
don't like my trees, and I know I made them too skinny, and I didn't get that big wraparound, that mid value and the reflected light and all of that stuff. So I chose the wrong painting, but at least my treetops on the right, they're in the sunlight.
Right.
But I don't like that other big bush I put on the left side, but it was in his something I saw. I don't know where I got that from.
All right, so let's start with the reference. Were you using it as a more of a jumping off point? Because I mean, you even moved the trees around, like switched them around and stuff. Or
Yeah.
were you using it like, or did you want to kind of, you know, actually paint this to kind of learn from?
I wanted to learn from it. I wanted to learn about how to see sunlight and shadow, because in the reference, you see how the grayer, not so golden dirt road is grayer. Well, it's not. I have so much blue in that painting, but it doesn't show on in the camera. It doesn't show up.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so I
all
guess my
the
question would be, what,
references-
besides learning to paint light and shadow, what else was interesting about the reference?
Well, I like the story of the road for some reason. The road just struck me. There's a trail, you see where the big tree in the middle sort of
Mhm.
it's got a little path kind of meandering down there that didn't show but gave a hint that it was there. And I like the trail. I like the pathway. I didn't like the white fence in it. I tried to put the white fence post in, and I just didn't handle that very well. So I took them out.
All right, so when I look at this, because I really like this painting too, what I like so much is the just sheer like danciness of some of these trees and the fluidity and the
Yeah.
organicness.
Yeah.
And what happened here is they became less interesting and a little more stagnant. That you've lost the dance, you've lost the movement,
Yeah.
and the curiosity. And so I almost want you to do it again, but really, really think about what is, what is going on with these trees? And it's just this interesting dance and movement and again, irregularity. I mean, they're pretty peculiar. You wouldn't make these trees up. You definitely saw these,
Right.
right? Whereas these feel like they're kind of out of your head, like they're kind of the idea of trees.
Right. I want to do it again, and I'm glad you said that because I thought, I'm really studying so hard, and Michael's trying so hard, and I feel like I let myself down, let alone Michael. So, I just
Yeah, I almost feel like you looked at it and then didn't pick it up again. Like you looked at it, okay, it's got 3 trees, a road, and a beautiful orange hill. And then, you know what I mean? I would like you to
Yeah.
almost see how close you can get to the original.
Okay.
And don't worry, Mark Hansen is a freaking master. You're not gonna, nobody's gonna recreate Mark Hansen's painting. In fact,
Oh,
Mark Hansen probably wouldn't recreate it, the same.
his
But
trees were exquisite. His trees were absolutely beautiful.
right. Yeah. And what's so interesting to me, just like you said, is it's the foreground shadow. And then you go up, and what happens? These trees all of a sudden get beyond the shadow. Like there must be a hill over
Yeah.
here that's blocking the light, and these trees are just peeking up beyond it.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering what it would look like without the bear tree there. I'm just thinking about
Yeah.
having the 3 smaller trees,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
would be steel yard composition, and I don't know, it just would bring you out along. To me, I think that bear tree stops me in a way that if it wasn't there, I'd be on that path more.
Are we talking about Mark's or
I'm
Linda's?
talking about the Linda's, I think, right here. Yeah.
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 That one.
The
Yeah.
bear tree being gone. Like I'm just imagining that being gone.
The big one
Okay,
being gone.
gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the big one.
Okay.
It's very well done. I just hate
It
to
is.
get
I
rid of it.
know. I know. I know.
I know that's the best of the trees.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yes, it
understand.
is.
But I think maybe getting rid of this one would do the same thing in a way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
I
'cause
think
it
I would
just-
do it over. What would I do different? What should I just, well, if you look back at the reference, the tall, skinny kind of bear tree is on the right-hand side, I think.
Are you guys seeing the reference?
No,
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've just had it up on the screen the whole time, right beside Linda's painting. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
I
haven't seen
can't
it
see
at
the
all.
reference. Oh, that's so beautiful, Michael.
Wrong reference.
Yep, wrong reference.
Now, can you see it?
There you go.
Oh.
See, there's more than one bear tree.
Yeah, there's 2 bear trees. I think I'm gonna do it as close to his as I can get it, but I don't like the post.
Yeah, because you see all 3 of your trees, well, all 4 of them are upright and kind of equal balance. Mark
Yeah.
Hansen. That's what I meant by the dance. Sorry, I totally thought you
Yeah.
guys, because I put it on the screen literally right beside Linda's. I thought you guys would see it. But you see, even this tree, which is the most solid, still has this dance and movement and
Yeah.
negative shapes. And then, what I was talking about going from the shadow
Yeah,
up into the light, and all of a sudden you have this light tree in front versus just a dark tree.
right.
And as he gets up
That's,
to the top, that's where it becomes really exciting for me, because squint your eyes and the tree just almost kind of disappears.
I know.
It's all just, it's color and temperature versus value difference in that point, which is always a trick.
And that's what I wanted to get, but you know what? I did like 39 ornaments and 3 angels, and oh my God, the last week has been just from hell, trying to clean the house and do the lesson, and I was tired when I worked on it. I worked on it over 2 days.
Well,
So
as long as you got angels done for me and my family,
I did.
you're in the clear.
Well,
Okay.
all I can say is I think we're all very courageous for trying.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It looks
And
like
you know
there's
what?
a lot of palette knife too.
He used the palette knife. Is that what you just said, Gail?
Yeah.
He used the palette knife.
Oh.
And I love the palette knife, but I'm thinking, oh my God, do I want, because I go crazy when I get use the palette knife and I give things texture and all kind of stuff, but he's got
Mm.
palette knife marks all over that baby. Look at it.
Wow.
And brush marks. It looks
Yeah.
like there are brush marks.
Mm.
Well, maybe he
Yeah,
put
I'm
the
not
paint
actually
down with the
positive
palette
he
knife
is
and then
using.
softened those edges with the brush.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not positive he is using a palette knife.
No?
Mm.
You don't think so?
I think he's just using a really light touch and the very nice fine edge. He's probably got very good brushes.
But look at his road. Look at the road. Look at the path.
Mm.
You see what I mean? I feel that that's palette knife in there.
Yeah, well, you could be right for sure. I've never seen him use a palette knife, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, now that back there, all of that looks like palette knife to me. And mine is, I used a brush. I didn't want to pick the palette knife up because I knew I'd go crazy and I'd make something that was not even resembling
Right.
what I was looking at.
I think he's using a brush with just a lot of paint in certain
Okay.
areas.
Hmm.
But again, I don't know that. So
And I use hardly any paint.
he could, he could
Michael?
pop on right now and be like, no, I use nothing but palette knife. I have no
Well,
idea.
Hey, Michael, can I see Linda's painting again?
Yep.
I had a thought about it.
Can you see it now? No.
No.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
still
I
on.
gotta do the stop share. Wish it would just let me pop
All
from
right.
screen to screen.
Yeah, computers.
There we go.
mine's too precise. It's too
Yeah, and the thing, Linda, I see it's bothering me is like the last tree, the bear tree, which is really beautiful, is not on the. It doesn't look like it's on the far side of the road.
no, it's on this side of the road. I put it on
Yeah, and the other painting, his are all on the other side of the road.
Are they? Oh, I
Yes.
didn't even notice that.
Yeah, they're on the left side, and
Oh, very
it
good.
makes a difference in your
Yeah.
composition.
Oh, look at there. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway,
You could
that's just
fix that part.
my
Yeah.
two. That's really easy to fix, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yep. Good
Where
tap.
did that other tree come from? That strange one? I don't think I've ever seen a tree like
I
that.
don't know. I saw it in something in California. Something I was looking at that was a picture of mountains like that looked very similar to this spot, but it was in California and I didn't capture the I didn't could be something from that forest of all the cactus because I've wandered out there for 2 or 3 times and it was something I looked at that I go, oh, this looks like it fits in. It looks like this place I've been to. And so I don't know. It's a tree, but it's a strange looking tree. It's like some kind of
Like
palm.
almost like a Joshua tree or something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go to Linda because I am getting hungry. My belly. I don't know if you guys can hear my belly grumbling, but
No, but I have my wine.
good.
Oh,
It's getting dark here.
beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
All
It's
right,
happy
you got
hour on the East
Really
Coast.
looks nice.
beautiful underpainting wipe away here.
Very nice.
I don't see a sheep. I see 2 cows. Yeah,
That's-
you're doing such nice underpaintings. It must be scary to paint over them.
Sometimes, yep,
Mhm.
exactly right. No, but
Mm.
I like doing it that way. I like getting a lot of the values in there. It just makes it easier when I start going into the paint. I really think the more I go, the more I think the longer I can keep a brush out of my hand, the better off I am.
Sometimes it feels like that, yeah. But really nice. You're really capturing the sense of light and everything else. And yeah, you're also the delicacy of things is really interesting where you have these big shapes, and then that really makes the little fine shapes that you're getting in certain areas just that much more special.
Yeah, I guess it's like a contrast, which is, yeah.
It's
Nice
beautiful.
edges. I don't have a whole lot to
Very
say.
pretty.
I kind of like your lost and found edges in this cow, but also because this tree is so described, I don't know if having,
Yeah, yeah.
What did you use to do the fine lines in the tree branches?
Just a brush, a,
like a liner brush of
A
some
liner.
sort.
it's like a 2/0 Blick Sable.
Yeah, so really nice and soft, holds a lot
Yeah.
of paint, so you could just keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah. Yeah, it worked well. I mean, the brush worked well for me. Not all brushes do. That definitely was a nice brush. It's a fairly new brush I got. So I haven't beat it up too badly.
And did you have to let the rest of the painting dry to come back over the top with
I
this?
did. I mean, I did. I went, I did the tree last. So I did this, in a week. I started it last Thursday. So Tuesday, yesterday. Yeah. I did most of the tree branches Monday. And so it had from Thursday to Monday. Well, I guess I did the sky on Friday. Right, I laid in the sky on Friday, did the walkway on Thursday, did the sky on Friday. So the sky had in most of the background. So yeah, it had from Friday to Monday. I've been using quick dry white
Oh,
and
yeah, it really helps, doesn't it?
I love it. I really do. Gambling, quick dry white. I
'Cause
really
that's pretty impressive that you went from the wipe away last Thursday to having it published this week and have all that detail. That's pretty that's impressive speed to have it dry and get it done.
It didn't give me a lot of trouble. It was just I was working from a reference that I didn't have to change much because I loved you know, I was kind of being journalistic because it's a place
Sure.
that I've been a lot and met those cows and, I just wanted a picture of that place and that scene. So I didn't have to do there wasn't a lot of, noodling around on it. It was pretty just straightforward march.
It
sounds
has
like-
kind of like an American Gothic feel to it. Like
I
just a
felt the
side
same
view
way.
and a
I felt
front
that too.
view, and yeah, and it's a framing device. It really is like a complete image. Like you've got kind of a circular design in here. You've got strong focus. Like having this much sky is unnecessary, but it also just kind of presents the idea of, wide
Big
open
sky.
Yeah,
spaces.
open.
And yeah.
Big sky. Yeah. And that's what kind of was meaningful to me too. Yeah. It's
And I
great.
love that, normally I would say, if you have these colors, you should bring them down. And what you did instead was brought down cool grays, which is much more effective to kind of convey in a little bit almost reflected light underneath the cool here. And I actually really liked that the sky is fairly independent of the rest of the painting. And normally I wouldn't. So,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to critique everything because, I'll say, oh, Cheryl, if you have that color in your sky, you got to have that color down here. And oh, Linda, I love the fact that your sky doesn't ever do anything down here. And that's art, right? I mean, it just some
Yeah.
things work
You
better
never
in
know.
a way. And yeah, it's really nice. Nice job.
Thank you.
And Lisa, are you still hanging out with us?
I am
I
still
am.
here.
I'm
I don't,
eating lunch. I am,
I'm,
but I am here.
I'm still here, but
Oh,
I
we're
don't
on
have
Lisa
anything.
Fairbank first. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay.
Yeah, no, I'm eating my lunch, but I'm good. Good thing
All
I
right,
brought
so you
food
did
over.
you
I
did
was
this little guy
starving.
just for fun, and it just happened to pop up while I was on link
I
or on
saw
my
I saw your comment.
So I
So
immediately, because it's a nice feeling. Again, it's almost got that kind of American Gothic feel, right? It's like these big kind of moody clouds, a lone tree, big plains. I don't even know if I'm using the word American Gothic right, but I'm just going to keep using it for everything. So basically what I wrote is that I found that these shapes became very redundant, repetitive right here, that, these two are so similar. And you've kind of got that line of trees that we talked about or whatever, line here. So I just quickly took it into Photoshop and just merged got rid of the highlight on here, so it wasn't the same as this one. And that was kind of my only like really notice. And I didn't work on it or do anything, but I kind of thought that just not having that rhythm was a little bit better.
It's funny what Richard's having us do is look at a reference photo for 1 minute, and then he takes it away, and then we have to paint from it.
Oh man.
And we get anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. This one was 20 minutes.
Oh,
And it's timed, and you only get one tool, and it's you can't use any other brush. You have to pick one or a palette knife, and then you're done. And so what I'm learning from it, and it's really valuable, is just lay it in and walk away. Don't worry about it. Just leave it. It's on paper. Who cares, right? And I'm learning so much about cloud structure.
Oh, good.
The really interesting thing is starting with the midtones and going to dark and then going to light. And it's actually really working. So if any of you struggle with clouds, think about starting with the mid-tone. How do you feel about that, Michael?
Well, now I feel great about it, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think that's a really nice way to do it. Yeah, I don't know if, because I'm always saying paint from dark to light.
No,
But-
I know.
Yeah, so I mean, if it's working for sure, and with clouds, you don't have, you know what I mean? Like you don't have the same contrast level generally, unless they're really extreme. And so, I mean, it definitely is working here, where you
Yeah.
got your soft edges, lost and found edges. Yeah, I mean, and doubly impressive that you did it in such a short time with one big brush. It looks
Yep.
like you chose an uncomfortably large brush.
It was this brush, and it was very uncomfortable because that's a very small piece of paper. So
Oops, you gotta hold it up again.
it was a big rosemary brush. And I'm like, yeah, pick that one. Good
And
job.
very soft brush too, it looks like. Wasn't
It is a soft brush.
Yeah. So that's, a challenge unto itself. But I like that. And I found that I've found myself using slightly softer brushes a lot more than I used to. Yeah, I'm liking the illustrations I'm working on I'm also using just a single rosemary brush for the whole thing, and a synthetic blend. And it's much softer than I would normally do, but boy, does it hold so much paint.
It does, and they clean up so easy. This is an evergreen short flat, and
Yeah, those evergreens are wonderful. Those are an accidental brush that they invented.
I like
They stained a bunch of their brushes with green to give out as Christmas gifts, and the dye changed the fibers in the hairs, and they became a whole different kind of brush. So now they offer them as their evergreens.
Was
All
that
right.
how that came about? That's cool.
we used
Yeah.
it was evergreen short or evergreen long.
That was
evergreen
a short.
flat. I like the short flats better than the longs.
Yeah, me too.
And I like the extra longs.
I know you do. I have some longs, but the evergreen short flats they're the same size as my longs.
Really? The bristles are?
Well, I mean, it's like a quarter of an inch. It's not much.
Yeah. It'll just add a tiny bit more bounce to the brush stroke is all.
Yeah, this is an ivory, but anyway.
And a little less control.
Yep.
Did you paint on brown paper bag?
No. No, it was oil paper.
Oil paper, okay.
But it looks like you stained it, or it's kind of.
I did. He has an interesting staining technique. Instead of staining with just burnt sienna or transparent earth red, he just takes his cloth from cleaning his palette knife and rubs it in all over his paper or gesso pad. If you're using a limited palette, it's pretty interesting. And you just dip it in a little mineral spirits and just rub. And I was like, well, okay, I'll try it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
All right. And then is this a collection of your miniatures that you're working on?
Yeah, so what I did, Michael, is just try to, and I can't see your screen, I just see your.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me go back to share screen.
What I
probably don't
I
need to
have a
spotlight
bunch-
you anymore.
Yeah, I have a bunch I need to paint of these minis, and So I just was like, all right, I'm just going to kind of paint them away and think about light and shadow while I'm painting. So it was fun. I don't know that it was really what you wanted out of homework, but that's what came out.
Nice Joshua tree.
Yeah,
Looks nice.
beautiful.
Hey, can
So-
I ask you guys, what does the screen look like now to you guys? Do you guys see Lisa talking and?
No,
No,
just
just her
just
paintings.
the,
Just
Okay. Because I saw that I could share spotlight, so I was
Okay.
wondering what happened, but it didn't do anything.
it just got paintings now.
It would share spotlight if we were both on the screen, but when it's share screen.
Right. You can't do that.
All right. That'd be kind of fun to have you guys talking beside it. So for the video, but anyways, sorry, I totally didn't listen. What were you saying?
I have no idea. Don't worry about it.
Something about the Joshua tree.
I said it was beautiful.
It is. I love that movement and that. I love how the shadow carries up into the tree a little bit there, and
I
you
like
create
that
an S curve in this painting.
Intentionally.
Oh well, there you go. I really love this color combination up here. These grays and.
Oh
these
my God. I got so enamored of it, but I need you guys to tell me what to do with the water. I just couldn't get it right because all I could see was the mountains.
Well, you're bringing a little hint of that pink. It looks like.
I did.
Yeah.
it needs.
But like my husband was like, it doesn't look like a lake. I'm like, ugh.
But you have a sky there that you can use.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You'll have reflections from the sky.
Yeah, I know. I wiped most of it off.
yeah.
So
I mean, it just depends. Well, I don't know what your reference looks like. If those colors are reflecting down or the sky is reflecting down, I don't know.
The reference
It does
in
look
my
almost
mind.
like a big, like a parking lot, a little bit.
I know. And the reference for this is in my mind because this was a plein air piece that was a disaster, and it had that red on the mountains. And so I was like, well, I don't want to waste this panel. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put a contrasting cool color on it and see what happens. And I was like, oh my goodness. Then
Yeah,
there
I
was
would probably just bring some of that pink down, but subtly, and it doesn't even have to be a nice reflection. It could be, just just hinted in little areas. I think that will be enough.
all right.
I think the bottom where the water meets the bottom of the mountains in there, I think it's coming forward and it needs to go back a little bit. You need to curve it back a little bit.
Yeah, I may
either
just
that, or you could bring some
cliff
some dark down here a little bit. Make this come
It
up.
reminds me of Hoover Dam, that piece.
Yeah, it does.
It's
Because
actually
I'm
it
not
was-
familiar with that landscape, so
it was plein air from
okay.
a reservoir here called Blue Mesa Reservoir, which is the largest lake in Colorado. And there's some beautiful vantage points. So my husband was like, you have 15 minutes. All right. So
Well, the mountains were worth it. So nice job.
yes, they were. Oh my God. So anyway, I just got to fix that water. Thanks for everybody's advice. I
Great.
appreciate it.
And good luck with all your miniatures.
Oh yeah. One a day.
All right, Lisa Holmberg. Sorry about that, Lisa.
No, my fault. I did not do anything. I mean, I was behind on gessoing and trying to find a simple painting that I felt interested in. So I'll have more next week. I'll have this modified, and I'm gessoing everything today while we're talking. So
Yeah,
I'll have
no
more
worries.
things
That's
to work on.
good use of time. Good use of time. All right, Michelle is not with us, but we can quickly take a peek at a reference here. That's a tough reference. It's a lot of things going on here. I know what I would do first and foremost. I'd cut this down, put it in my house, call it a Christmas tree, and get it out of my painting. I don't know if I like this shape, and I like the tree behind it so much. And then the fact that they're the same height, even though this tree is so close, I would either, if I wanted it, I would either make it taller or quite a bit shorter. So that's when I look at the reference. And otherwise, you got this kind of nice light coming around the shadows here that leads us back in. But there's no clear focal point because these mountains are pretty interesting, lights and darks. So I'm curious what Michelle has decided to do. She has decided to do all of it. All right.
Well, she separated those two trees
She
and
did
moved
give
them a
them some
little bit.
air. Yeah, moved them around. The height raised it a little bit. All right, I'm just reading what she wrote here. She says, I like the dark shapes pointing at your area of interest. Maybe some darker values on the two main trees away from the light source. Maybe
Michael, I think I said that.
You did. Okay, you're right. Yep.
It was trying to support her art, but also giving her some constructive ideas.
Right. Yeah, it feels unresolved at this point. It feels like kind of a big block in, kind of getting the shapes. Nice job on that hill. Nice job separating, moving this tree up a little bit. I think there's like a town back here. I don't know if that will be included at all. Yeah, it's a tough one. There's just a lot of green going on here. And, I'm starting to see the breakup with the shadows, kind of like what you're saying, Dawn. And moving in. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to Michelle about it maybe next week. But yeah.
That big tree is much more interesting on this picture than it is on the other one. It needs to be different. It needs to have another branch and something to it.
It lost the form, and then the base is getting really wide as well.
Yeah, I didn't notice if that was on the original or not, but
I kind of like where, if you go back to where she's right where your arrow is, right where your cursor is. She could lighten that up or separate it from the tree that's on the right and go and move the whole painting back.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like because of the strong line, and then it's also got a line here, it's got that kind of triangle pointing us here.
Yeah, and I would open that up, air that out, lighten that up so that my eye can go behind those trees and travel to those hills in the back, because her background is beautiful.
Yeah, this whole line is really
Breathtaking.
great.
And I think I want to travel back there a little bit and explore that. So I would like,
it feels like you're
lighten
leading
all
us
that up so that the tops of those trees, the top of that tree line pops a little more, and that my eye can travel around the back of that tree line and find my way back into those foothills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it feels like you're leading us to something, but there's not much
There's
of
nothing
a
there. I'm
here.
stopped,
Yeah.
dead cold. And I like what she's trying to do with the tree on the right, that one. And I think
I like that.
I think she could pop that one a little bit more and open up the space between that tree and the row of trees, and allow me to go back into and explore those foothills. And I think she's got it after she does what you guys said about the other tree.
Yeah. This is a tough one just because the whole reference is, it feels like a lot. Like there's just multiple things kind of going on. Like I said, like I kind of like this area, I kind of like this tree, I don't like this tree. And yeah, I think you're right that there's a lot going on here, and it feels like where we're meant to go.
And just not able to get there.
Well, not able to get there, and when we do get there, it's not anything going on yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
So we love this part, Michelle. We do watch this, and there's some work to be done on the other parts. But nice job. And that's a lot of green, and that's tough painting all those different values, especially because they're all warm. All right, Nyla. Oh, wow.
Oh, that's
It
pretty.
was little. I thought this was the reference photo.
Yeah.
That's so
Like
interesting.
below.
Then when you,
So
wow.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful, Nyla.
Nicely done.
That's so good. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
I
Yeah,
love your
thank you.
phthalo-y blues back here against these mauves are really great. And yeah, lots of nice things and movement, and there's a cleanliness to it, but at the same time, it's got a lot of texture. And is Nyla with us? Yep. Tell us a little bit about this, Nyla. Is this your favorite golf course, or what are we looking at here?
No, it's just a picture that I saw that really caught my attention, and I thought, oh, that's just what I'm looking for. It has the cast shadows, it has the sunlight, it has the cool shade, the warm shade. I just thought it had everything, so.
It
I
is a
see
golf.
there's a Frisbee golf course cage back here. I really like what you've done because you've got these nice warms, you've got and here Cheryl, for you is a good example of the shadow just creating a slightly darker, cooler version of the thing
Right.
it's on. Not to rub that in, but what
No,
I
it's
like
all
is
right.
you push these blue. I mean, because this could have easily just been Payne's gray back here, right?
Yeah.
But you pushed the color and it's so much more inviting, and it again gives us kind of a reward. I know it's not the focal point, but I sure like getting to this area.
Yeah.
What color did you use for that blue? Do you know? Is it a phthalo?
I did use a phthalo
So
blue.
it's terrifying color, but you did a great job of muting
Yeah.
it down, but still making it really kind of special.
Thank you.
I think
That's beautiful.
it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
How
I love
big is it, Nyla?
Excuse me.
How big is the painting?
It's it's 11 by 14.
Nice.
Still pretty good size.
I had such a little amount of time to work on it that I knew I had to do a small painting. I started on it. I believe I did the underpainting Saturday night after my company left, and then I did a little bit each night when I had time.
Yeah, it's very lovely. Nice use of colors. I mean, there's so much color in here. Like if I was to name all the colors, but they really have a nice harmony to it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not easy to do. Beautiful.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank you.
basically the same palette I used last week, but I did add the phthalo blue in.
Okay, and then we get to see your wipe away or whatever you're underpainting. It's not a wipe away in this case, but
Very
In
nice.
some cases, it was a wipe away. I kind of splashed it around and then I did some wiping away. It was a hybrid.
and Sandy added a whole bunch of beautiful sky photos and rainbows. Wow, what a light show you got that night, huh?
Wow.
Is Sandy still here?
Yeah, that was yesterday at work.
Wow,
Wow.
that's about as perfect as a rainbow as you get to see, and really,
Yeah,
Double one.
double rope rainbow, so bright.
yeah, and the fact that inside of the rainbow is a different color than the outside of it
Yeah.
is,
Well, and it's a different value altogether.
yeah. Wow,
It was
that's
really, really different.
yeah. Good luck painting that.
Well, I'm not gonna. I like the one with the tree though, with the rainbow coming out from the tree.
Yeah, that really brings out the colors. I mean, those are so crisp.
Oh, and you can
alive.
see the second one back there.
Yeah.
Wow. Easy peasy.
Nice.
Yeah,
Have
that's
you guys
amazing.
noticed that every rainbow I've seen, like in the last 6 or 8 months, have been double reflections? Yeah.
That's really interesting. And no new paintings, Sandy, this week?
No, I just can't decide what I want to do.
No worries.
And
No
then
worries.
not only the subject, then it's like, well, what do I want to use? Do I want to use linen, oil prime linen? Do I want to use canvas? Do I want to use this wood, or what do I want to use? I just can't make a decision.
Yeah, I yeah, that happens to me too, where I'm just like, because I used to just always use the same palette, and now I'm opened up and I'm using all these different colors, and yeah, sometimes it's indecision by too many choices. Yeah, so I get it. But anyways, hopefully this week you'll get a chance. Yeah, we didn't really come up with any homework for this week, but
Where's Rajini?
what's that?
Where's Rajini? Did she not have anything this week?
Oh, I submitted.
Oh, I think I need to put Regini's name over there still.
Yeah, Virginia's in the other spot.
All right, let's move Regini back in. Welcome to the class, Regini.
Oh,
Oops, I know how the alphabet works. All right. All right, tell us a little bit about, because is this the same painting or did you do it again?
no.
Or no, maybe we saw it on Thursday, huh?
Yeah, I did the underpainting with acrylic, and then I did this oil painting over that.
Ah, so good.
That's beautiful. It looks, has a watercolor feel to it.
Yeah, I know. It's like equally kind of soft edged all over.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it's cool.
find out it's just a little bit out of focus is all, but
I love those clouds up there.
Mm.
Yeah, your sky is gorgeous. Everything about it is just so soft and serene. That's the only word I can, it's just serene,
Oh, thank you.
beautiful, and peaceful.
It feels like we just got over a rainstorm.
Yeah,
yeah, it really does. It
Mhm.
feels wet and fresh, and
yeah, fresh.
I really love this warm penumbra of soft edge that you put in here and took didn't bring it over here. It's really lovely, and your brushwork is so nice, like the soft hard, all these different edge qualities. And I remember talking to you about this, and I even talked to you about it on last Thursday, how this used to look like a mountain behind everything.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't anymore. It definitely just feels like part of the dark sky, and like it's lovely.
Thank you.
I can smell the spring air.
Yeah. And what I think you're doing so nicely in this painting and the one previous is that you're not over describing your foreground. You're really letting us kind of our brain fill in. You're giving us a little bit of information, but then it's not overly described. And that's something I've got to work on and remember, is that enough is enough and too much is too much. And you're really starting to find that sweet spot.
Oh, thank you.
And my eye just keeps moving around.
Yeah.
They really don't stop, looking. You've got like these little bit of lines that kind of bring you back. This line brings you in, kind of a hinted at an S curve, and up it goes. Yeah, the thing I would have been scared of painting this is that, you got these really strong angles pointing you out of the scene.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know if it's because it hits this tree and swoops back up. I don't know what it is, but somehow you're stopping the eye from just shooting off. Because, look at this big triangle or arrow that theoretically should be pointing us off the scene, but it doesn't happen. And I'm not sure if this tree is why.
I think those trees are what does it.
The trees and the cloud above, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the light in the water, the embankment on the bottom stops you from, it takes me up to that light spot and then back in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you made an A today.
Oh, thank you.
I like A's, but I just failed today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you, Gail.
There you go. You got an A+.
Okay.
Oh, good, Michael. Thank you.
And you got to be a part of the class. You're no longer at the end of nowhere land over there. So
I gotta run off, kids. I got an appointment at 3.
yeah, Alpine,
It
I'm
was
gonna-
good. Thank
This,
you.
this was fantastic, you guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your time, for helping me with my painting. And I look forward to hanging out tomorrow with some of you. So remember that if you guys are around, and otherwise see the rest of you next Wednesday. Your homework is to think about armatures and paint something using an armature. Maybe even show us a quick photo of the armature you choose and kind of your underpainting, and then whatever you decide to do with that. So very loose-ended, open-ended homework.
This was wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, that makes it simple.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. This was a ton of fun. Thanks for letting me revisit.
Yes, it
this.
was. I learned a lot from going over the other paintings, like
Oh,
you
good.
just did.
Me too.
I love the way the
Guys are-
class is going, Michael. I'm really learning. I'm understanding and watching you just think while you're painting, and that is just helping me tremendously.
I
Exactly.
told you if you just hang out long enough, eventually I'll learn how to teach a little bit at least. Yeah.
I know, I think you're getting it, Michael.
Yes, don't change.
Okay.
This was an
Keep it
especially
going.
good day.
All right. Well, next week is going to be design and detail. And I know
Okay.
that's something a lot of you guys are interested in is, that next stage, that detail stage. So you've earned it. You've made it to class 3. So we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Thank
Take care,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow.